What is up, guys, and welcome back to the Sweat It Out podcast. Today we have a very special guest. He is an incredible master coach, fitness coach, celebrity coach. He is a huge fitness advocate. He's a leader in the industry. You've probably heard of him and seen him everywhere. This guy is truly amazing and continues to do amazing things. Please help me welcome.
Yes, keep it coming.
You're good
Saladino.
for my ego.
What's up, brother?
Brother, you are good for my ego. I like you already.
Why do you think I like having him around so
I'm
much?
about to say, I'm like, damn.
He's the ultimate hype man.
God, man, that was special right there.
I got you. I
appreciate that. Thank you.
How you been, man? How you been?
Good. Been well, brother. It's good to be on, guys. Thank you. I mean, this is always fun for me.
Yeah, thank you for coming on. We know you're very busy as we are. I can only imagine how busy you are.
Oh yeah.
Busy's good, right? I mean, it's especially during these times now. I mean, it's interesting because, there's so much negativity out there with people getting sick and, losing their life. I mean, a really good friend of mine lost his life last week of a battle with cancer. That. It's terrible, but it's not to depress everyone. But, if you can, pivot off of a bad time and, find a way to make it good. I mean, that's what else are we supposed to do? I think I was feeling bad about that early on. I was like, oh, things are actually going pretty well right now. But the reality is we have to do the best that we can in life. We can't feel bad about excelling at any time.
Yeah. I mean,
100%.
We battle that all the time. We've mentioned it on the podcast quite a bit already. This has probably been, and sorry for everyone who's listening that, has to hear us say this again, but, it's probably been the best time that we've had in business personally. And you guys were talking before we got on the podcast about, just being very dedicated over this time and putting first things first. And right now that's, business. And with you, and with Mendez, I'm sure family as well. You said you have two small kids. I'm sure you've gotten to spend a little more time with them than if you were in the gym constantly.
Wait, and you can't forget the two Russian dogs.
Yeah. Sambuca and Rigatoni.
Ooh, those are kids too.
I know when we got the office for this podcast, I was afraid that my dog was going to slip into a depression. Like having me around all the time for 3 months and then not there anymore. Like,
no, I understand. They're like people. These are dogs. I mean, if you're not a dog lover, you don't get it. But it's they're pretty special.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I'm hearing what you guys are saying. I mean, this is definitely. I mean, over these last 6 months, there's been a lot of transition. All you can do is try and thrive. I mean, I've been in business. I mean, I've been in business for over 21 years so far. I mean, I've been a gym owner for over 15 years, and had a lot of highs and a lot of lows. But I mean, no matter what, I think through all those times, the one thing I've never lost is my optimism and my ability to kind of pivot and roll into something else, or just. It was never like, oh, it was the worst thing that's ever happened. It was like, all right, well, but if I didn't do that, I wouldn't have learned this. And sometimes it's at an expense, of, you go into a project and you lose money or something happens that at the time might feel like an awful thing. But looking back on it, you say to yourself, this is kind of what molded me into today. So I hope you could just keep building on that.
100%.
You said, sorry, I don't mean to, but you said you're out in New York City now. You ever plan on going back?
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, again, I feel bad saying this, but I'm probably one of the luckiest gym owners on the planet right now because my 15-year lease happened to expire May 31st.
Wow.
So, I've owned, several gyms in New York City. I've started several digital platforms. I've worked with, almost a dozen fitness brands and, developing their brands and strategy. And I've really had my fingerprint in a lot of these companies. And, when I was renegotiating my lease last December, my landlord and I couldn't come to terms. And when COVID, started, when everything started kind of snowballing, and I think they closed gyms the Monday night, I'll never forget it. Actually, I do remember the date, Monday. So Sunday was March 15th, Monday was March 16th. So at about 8 p.m., we found out we were closing. For how long? We have no idea. Is it a month? Is it 2 months? I had a good guess. I said fall. I turned to my coaches. I said, you know what? I think this is going to be a fall thing. And it was a lucky guess. I don't know anything that no one else knows. I just had that feeling. And I think within 24 hours, I collapsed one of my living rooms in my house. I had a contractor come in and secure the floor from underneath. And, I had a little performance studio built, and, that was my mindset. I turned around immediately and I said, all right, well, we're going to be out of this for right now. How do I excel and pivot, maybe focus on something that I never thought I'd be able to focus 100% of my time on, because I had the gym. And it worked out like better than I could have imagined. I mean, I think I built about 100,000 new emails,
Wow.
subscribers
Amazing.
in 1 month, in about 4
Amazing.
weeks.
Absolutely amazing.
And over 100,000 new Instagram followers, which I know was
Beautiful.
pretty much to help out. But I wasn't selling anything. I was just trying to add value and get free product. And I think a big issue that coaches have is they just get so caught up in the dollar all the time. And I became a coach because I love changing lives. And it's just something that for me, it became so natural. I've been coaching for 21 years. It's over 21 years. It became so natural that, I was like, oh, wow, I'm getting paid for this. It was kind of like when Magic Johnson said, like, the Lakers want to pay me to play basketball. It was almost like the same thing. I'm like, I can't believe I'm getting paid for this. Like, that's been my approach my entire life. And because of that, it's been about me educating myself and learning more about business and positioning myself with good people and being able to build these businesses. And, it's been a lot of fun. And then, yes, the money comes, which is obviously, a really important thing to be able to survive in life. But I didn't expect this to happen. I mean, if you asked me a year ago, I'd be in the position I'm in right now. I'd be shocked and very happy about it.
Wow, it's truly amazing, man. The fact that, sharing that transition period, and obviously too, luckily, that spot of yours with the landlord got cut off at that right time. So that's crazy to even think about that.
I mean, his tone definitely changed in March. I mean, I got a phone call from him when I won't repeat the words that I got but and
wait, what did he say? Not just
him. At the end of the day, we always got along. I mean, he was, but he's the landlord. I mean, he's got to deal with this stuff, and he's dealing with other tenants, and it's very easy to turn around and be like, that guy's an asshole. Like, he's a landlord. He's got to deal. You don't understand the shit he's got to deal with on a day-to-day basis.
Comes with the territory.
Exactly. People not paying rent. So I think his tone definitely changed in March. But what ended up happening was a few months went by. I paid in full throughout the lease. So March, April, May, I paid, I think, God, I was paying about $58,000 a month in rent and taxes in New York City.
It's crazy.
60, 30. So what's that? About 100. So I paid about $180,000 between rent and taxes in those 3 months.
Wow.
And I paid it, and everyone's like, "What are you nuts?" I'm like, I've been in this space for 15 years.
Right.
And I made a guarantee to myself through all the hard times, I was going to do the right thing. I was going to see it out. I have a contractual deal with this guy, and I want to pay it out. And I paid it out. I was really proud of that. And then he came back and he's like, "Well, what are we going to do now?" I'm like, "I don't know what we're going to do now. I'm not paying anything. I'll move it out, or or you can just leave there, and we can leave it there, and we can try and figure out a lease." So it turned around to the point where I think when Cuomo decided that gyms were going to reopen at 33% capacity, I was like, "Oh, the hell with this! Like, everything's going too well. I can leave my coaches on. I can have them continue to train virtually. I can hit the pause button and not have to go and take the risk of real estate right now." And I moved everything out. And I'm now in the process. I just hired an architect. I'm building a 2,000 square foot studio in my backyard.
Amazing.
On 2 levels.
Awesome.
And I'm going to put everything in there. And in probably 3 to 6 months, we will probably be back in a new location in New York City. But in the meantime, right now, I'm dealing with what's in front of me.
You know what's crazy is that I've actually, speaking to different people and even friends of mine who are in the real estate game, they've been telling me a lot of people are now been just considering putting more money towards getting a big home and just literally running all their businesses from home, and people have been doing that already, but now even more, it's just sped up that. And people are just like, you know what, I'm just going to bunker down, whether it's either build my gym, build my mini warehouse, or build my, whatever it is to run my full business.
Yeah. We've been talking about it.
Yeah. We've been talking about it. And I think it's an interesting, because a lot of realtors been saying that the real estate game's even been changing the way people are approaching it, moving forward. I wanted to ask you, seeing the transition that, you've now gone through multiple times throughout, your career, being a gym owner, doing the different stuff, the apps online, but now really full throttle into this world that we're in. What do you see, or where do you see fitness headed to? And where would you say it's important for coaches to literally start putting attention into?
Yeah, I think it's a good question. And I think I actually have a pretty solid answer on it. Listen, gyms aren't going anywhere. Like they're not, like, a gym's not going to go out of business. There's still people who love that atmosphere. But I think we fast forwarded things probably at least a decade. I think these last 6 months force people to trust training outside of the gym. where in the past they would say to themselves, well, I'm not going to get as good of a workout, or we were forced into it. And it was the worst thing possible, I think, for gym owners, because, you know, now where you'd have someone in there 5 days a week, I think those people who are in 5 days a week might be in now maybe twice a week.
Yeah.
And they might
Agreed.
balance that out. Like what I'm doing now, like I'm training from home 3 to 4 days a week. And I might stop in at my powerhouse gym, Bev Francis Powerhouse, which is in my a couple towns over from me, and I might, you know, train lower body there one day, or I might do some, you know, some different pulling stuff that I don't have access to at my home yet. So I think we're going to see. I think we're going to see a lot of that. But I also think this time could have done coaches a big favor, because I've been speaking at summits for the last 6, 7 years. And I've been talking, when I got a call, I'll never forget getting a call from Chris Poyer at Perform Better. And he says, we want you to speak. What do you want to speak on? You know, I thought, my first thought was fitness, was, you know, covering topics of, you know, fitness, nutrition, recovery. And I was like, you know what? It just doesn't, fitness excites me, but it just doesn't. Every coach is out there and everyone thinks they're like, you know, they're better than this one and they're going to come. I'm like, the one area that I feel like I can really help people out with is branding. So I'm like, let me start doing some discussions on branding and social media and reach. And I started doing that. And 5, 6 years ago, what I said we needed to do is what's happening now. And I think it's forcing coaches now to say, all right, like, how am I going to build an email list? You know, how am I going to develop a website? The problem is that these coaches, they jump into this stuff and they think it's going to be like an instant. When I say an instantaneous, you know, response to what they're doing, they think it's like a year. Oh, well, in a year I should, like, no, dude,
No.
like, this is going to take 3 to 5 years at least.
Yeah.
Like, this is going to take a level of resiliency and a level of consistency that most coaches just aren't ready to do. They don't have the chops for it. Like, they'll jump into something, they'll start with social media, they're looking at their likes every day, they're like, oh, well, I'm losing followers from Instagram, everyone's getting depressed on it, they don't know why that's happening, which there's a reason why that's happening. And, you know, I think people just get discouraged and they can't stick to a game plan. They just go making changes too much, and they're just they adjust their plan way too much. And I'm not saying you don't adjust your plan. You make adjustments, but you got to ride it out for a period of time, and you got to understand this stuff takes time.
Yeah, I mean, I fell into that trap myself when I first launched my website. I was like, oh, you know, I came up with this awesome, you know, steel mace educational course, and I have my weekly workouts, and it's like, I'm going to murder it. I'm going to sell, you know, 1,000 of these right off the bat and all this stuff. And then nothing, you know, a couple trickled in here or there. And I was like, fuck, this is going to be a lot harder than I thought it was going to be.
But it never
You know?
happens. It's never, I don't think it's happened with anyone. I mean, maybe you could talk to specific coaches, and I'm friends with, that time things out really well, like 8 or 9 years ago,
Right.
who got involved into that market, and it was just a really good timing thing. But nowadays it doesn't happen. Like,
Saturated.
I can't tell you how many times I get a call every week of someone who's got like a different product, and they're like, this is great, what do you think? And I'm like, you know, Greg Rose gave me the most valuable information 16 years ago when he was standing in my shell. Dr. Greg Rose said, you know, you can have the best golf club in the world. You could drive a golf ball 50 yards further. If you don't get it out there and no one knows what it is, you ain't going to sell shit. It was literally like,
that's right.
It's marketing 101. It's just, you know, but I mean, very rarely is someone going to take a product. I don't even care if you have celebrity endorsement, like Ryan Reynolds, I consider Ryan a brother of mine. He's done more for me and
Great brother to have.
Yeah.
Oh, no, he's him and his wife
superhero, huh?
Oh, I love them. They're incredible people. But you know, I mean, even when he went and he bought into Aviation Gym, and they didn't, like, he paid and bought an Aviation Gym. He put his, like, I mean, I can't tell you how much time he put into this. Where if anyone listening to this right now wanted to get a good takeaway, a celebrity does not get involved with a business, and it's not instantaneous success. And normally, honestly, like, a celebrity gets involved in the business, there's in my eyes, maybe you've increased the chances of it being successful a little bit more. But when you look at what Ryan did to that brand Aviation, and the late night phone calls with distributors, with drivers, with like, your people who are, you know, turning around, salespeople, you'd be like, right, yeah, of course he's doing, like, that's how he built that business, and that's why that business became successful. You know, and that's what I'm finding right now. When you look at the people out there, the ones who truly build businesses, it's not like, oh, let's just sign up Chris Evans and it's going to be successful. No, you need their involvement to be,
Yep.
you need them to be in. And I found out early on when I partnered up with Adrian Peterson and Dwayne Wade and Ernie Els, and I created a best in class app called Driven. And we murdered it out of the gate. We were number one in the App Store in like 3 of the 4 categories that we launched in. We also launched a fitness app. And we did this high production shoot, and then literally like hit the top of this roller coaster. And we literally held on and was like, riding it down. There was no engagement.
Right.
There was no engagement. Like you need, I don't care who you are, you need to engage with your followers, your fans. You call it what you want, but you could be the most successful. I mean, Peterson, we launched that app with Peterson the year he won his MVP. We launched that app with Wade a day after he won with Miami. The championship.
Shout out D Wade.
Yeah. Right? Shout out D Wade. I mean, awesome guy, by the way. I mean, great guys, but their agents were doing those deals, and it was like, and they were protecting their athletes. I can't get mad at anyone about that. I don't think any of us knew at that time, the level of engagement that you need. But when you look at someone like Ryan, he engages and he puts his fingerprint in there. And I think that's what's so impressive about some of these, celebs out there, like, Dwayne Johnson, like he's in it, like, what I'm saying? So,
Kevin Hart, another one.
Yeah. I mean, they're in it. I mean, I think those are the brands that become successful, but just to think that you're going to partner up with a celeb, it's like, doesn't necessarily mean that.
I love that.
I think one of the only terms I can't stand more than influencer is passive income. Right? Like there's no such thing as there's no such thing as like, first of all, if you ever tell me that you're an influencer, like I'm going to walk away. I'm not even going to have the conversation.
So that's disgusting.
And if you bring up,
if you celebrity trainer.
Yeah.
I hate celebrity trainers.
Yeah.
Like, oh God.
And it's like, if you tell me you're an influencer and you have a way for me to make passive income, I'm definitely going to walk away. I'm not even going to say a word.
The problem is that it's setting you up for this level of like laziness, in my opinion. Like when 100%. You hear it's like, oh, it's just sitting there and like let the money come in, like make money when you're sleeping. And yes, like it is nice when you build a business to a point where you can go to bed and wake up and you're making money. And I'm not telling you that's not the goal. That is the goal, but you got to earn that. And that's something that takes years to build and so much consistency and so many mistakes. I mean, if I sat here right now and went through all my fuck ups, excuse my language, I don't know if I could say that on here.
Yeah, it's okay. It's going to be on YouTube. You can listen. I say fuck every 5 minutes, so it's all right.
If you were to look at all my fuck ups, I mean, we would be on this show for the next 40 minutes going through it. But, you can't. I mean, if every time I fucked up, I was like, oh, like, it's like you got to turn around and say, all right, well, how did I make that mistake? What did I do? How do I do it better? And let's go. And you gotta bounce back. And I think that's a big problem. People they're getting lazy, and they'll turn around and they'll look at someone like Kayla Itsins, who's making $100 million a year or whatever that math is. I don't know, 80 million, 100 million a year. And they're like, oh, I'm a better coach than her. Like, she got involved in this way before you did. She has her husband who knows a lot about marketing. She can connect with her client. Like, who gives a shit how good of a coach it is? You don't even know. No one knows how good of a coach she is. No one's actually sat there, and no one's actually watched her coach, and no one's actually seen if she knows how to screen or if she does continuing education. We really don't know that. Whether it's true or not, it's totally irrelevant. But everyone's so quick to turn around and beat someone like that up because she's so successful, and they feel like, well, I should be that successful. I'm a better coach. Like, no, you shouldn't. Like, you blew it. Like, no, honestly, in all fairness, like, I don't care how good of a coach you are, you blew it. Right. Because when she was turning around and she had the vision and the foresight to go after it and build that digital empire, you were sitting there training people one-on-one.
Yep.
Trying to get your session to go from 100 to 125 an hour. Yeah.
I mean, you're talking about us, like I've mentioned this on the podcast too. We both have, like, when Instagram started bringing videos on, like those 15-second videos, I saw him in Equinox and he was like, man, like him and another friend of ours were filming content. And I was like, man, what are you guys doing? Like, that looks dumb. He's like, no, man, like you gotta start editing. You gotta start filming your workouts and editing them on this thing called iMovie. And I come from a strength condition background. I'm like, that sounds fucking lame, man. Yeah. Like I'm here to train people. Like that's what we do. He's like, nah, man, I'm telling you, this is going to be, and now, 5 years later, he just points a finger at me and starts, smirking. And I know exactly what he's thinking. Like,
I was there also when Facebook launched. I was like, that's my private business. I'm not going to let anyone. And the next thing you know, like, I'm doing it. And it's not about me. Like, if you go look at my social, I'm not sitting there with my shirt off every 5 seconds. Maybe it's every 20 posts. It's fine. But I am the whole purpose of my social media, except last week. Last week was an emotional week. My buddy died. I took some time off.
Right.
did a couple non-fitness related posts, but 90 to 95% of my posting is about giving away free shit to people.
Mm-hmm.
Like I gave away 11 weeks of giveaways. I was giving away treadmills and Perform Better gyms and ice baths and Normatec systems and all this stuff giving away. And I was giving away programs and it was just give. And every day giving away content. And it's like, at first when I'm doing it, people are like, oh, you're having fun with Instagram. I'm like, yeah, I'm having fun with it. I love doing it because I'm able to turn around and basically, reach out to so many more people out there. But like, don't laugh at this like this is a hobby. Like, this is like, no, I'm building a business right now. And then I think when people saw how it could become a monster, and I think the outreach and the brands and the business and how I can actually stay at home now and do what I love, this is fantastic. I used to commute 3 hours a day into the city, an hour and a half each way.
That's insane.
I had a hockey game this morning at 6:30 a.m. I was home at 8:15 taking my son to school. It's like, and then I'm working, and then I go lift, and then I'm back here doing this now. And last night I'm on a podcast at 8 o'clock. It's exciting. My schedule is always changing. It's fun. I'm building things. It's just this did not happen for me overnight. This has been I just did this talk where I said, I'm a 20 year. I said 20 year. I said I'm a 20-year overnight success. It was like a joke. It was like my first pillar. Like, this is like, if you think I'm an overnight success, yeah, sure, I am. It took 21. It took 21.
Yeah, right.
It takes time.
I think something important, bringing up is the fact that you mentioned over and over again that there's a lot of lazy people, and there's a lot of people that just don't want to put in that work, and it obviously shows, through the amount of work that you've been putting for so many years. And like you're saying now, it's like, yeah, I'm a 20-year success, 21-year success. Like, yeah, people don't understand that. It's just like, yeah, it sometimes takes that patience, takes that plan that you've been putting into effect for so many years. Obviously you make tweaks and you change certain things, but you've never stopped moving the wheel, and you've always kept delivering, understanding that one day you're going to get your break. And I think that's the part that scares a lot of people, is that they just want this instant gratification, because everything in today's world is instant.
It'd be nice. Listen, I'm not going to lie. It'd be nice, but if there was an instant gratification, I wouldn't have learned what I learned. Like, I wouldn't be. I mean, part of this also is the fact that I can turn around and have that conversation, and I can educate, and I can help people out. But man, I had a call the other day from a coach, and I think people have heard in the past when I was charging one-on-one rates, what my rates were. And they're like, oh my God, I got to start charging rates like that. And I'm like, supply and demand, brother. Like, it's supply and demand. It's that simple. So this kid calls me up the other day, and he's like, I'm charging $600 a session. I said, awesome. I said, good for you. I said, how many clients do you have? And he's like, 2. And I'm like, 2. Okay. How many sessions are you doing a week? He's like, out of those 2 people, probably 3 to 4 sessions.
That's not going to move the needle.
Exactly. I'm like, so fine. You're making X amount of dollars a week. Why wouldn't you drop your rate to 200 and get 3 times the amount of people? Make the same money. Like, it doesn't like just get more. Why would you want to do that? I said, because you got to get in contact with more people to build a business. You're not like, you're working 3 to 4 sessions a week right now. Like, that's pathetic. Like, you're not going to build a business. Like, you're going to be known as the guy who's charging too much money. Yeah. And you're not going to I trained guys in the last 20 years of my career, 21 years of my career. I figured this out the other day. I probably trained over 40,000 1-hour sessions. 40,000. Like, that's a lot of reps, man. That's a lot of hours to be in there. And out of those 40,000 hours, I can assure you that probably 5,000 of those hours were probably free sessions. Free for people who are like, editors, publishers, the heads of, a specific company, on and on and on and on, celebs. Just get me in front of them. It's over. Get me in front of them and it's over. And I don't mean to sound cocky like that, but this has got to be the attitude. But I see so many coaches like, well, what do you think I should charge them? Like, get them in there, man. Give them a free session. Yeah. Like, get them pregnant with the idea of you first. Like, get in front of them. Don't talk dollars. If you sit here talking $600 an hour before you meet them, they're never going to want to work with you.
Yeah.
But come on, man, increase that volume a little bit. That's the big problem. And that's more coaches than less, is that they start comparing themselves to someone who is so far beyond them. and they think they should just be there, and they haven't put in the reps.
That comparing syndrome, I tell people all the time, like, you want to move forward, you got to stop comparing, like, I'm going to say it again, like, that person's chapter 20 is not your chapter 1, and there's a reason why they're there. Like, you've been putting in this work for over 20 years,
I totally agree. Anytime a young coach turns to me and they start comparing themselves to someone, I literally look at them and I'm like, oh, please.
Yeah.
Like, it is just like, this is a joke. Like, listen
Pay
to
your
yourself
dues,
right
dude.
now. Yeah, man. Like, you're feeling bad. Like, I'll never forget. I was going, I brought a bunch of coaches to a summit years ago, and we're walking in and they're mentioning a name of a speaker who I know is a really good guy, but everyone's like, oh, like, I'm hearing everyone like this guy's not a good coach though. And I'm like, stop. I'm like, look at his room. And they look in, I'm like,
he's a good coach.
People in that room.
Yeah.
And they're like, at least 500-600 people. I said, so there's 500 or 600 people in his room. There was 300 in my room. It was my first year speaking. People are literally standing up to see this person, and you're sitting here bashing him. I made them all go sit down and listen to the talk.
Yeah.
And then afterwards I said, what was it? I said, so you already shut this person down before you went in to go listen. They are successful for a reason. Yet you're pointing out the negative. You're saying it's about coaching. Coaching's the easy part, guys. Like, this is like, you could sit down, read a manual. You could turn around. You could start emulating, a trainer out there, someone who knows how to do stuff, and you could just target and focus on one specific area, whether it's kettlebells or whether it's training with dumbbells or whether it's, energy systems work or something. And you could become great at that. You could call yourself the guru. You can't connect, you're screwed.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
And that's a big problem.
Yeah. No, I mean, I had one of those aha moments a couple of years ago. I mean, do you know Mark Magna? You know Mark? Yeah.
Yeah, Mark and I, he's the owner of one of the
Anatomy.
co-owners of the Anatomy. Yeah. Mark and I, I think we follow each other on social. He's been on my podcast.
Yeah, he's an amazing guy, right? And
really nice guy.
So I worked at Equinox on South Beach, which is where he worked for I think 8 or 10 years, and for whatever reason, when he left, it must have left some bad taste in people's mouths. And I came maybe like a year after that, and everyone was just trashing him. I'm like, I don't even know the guy. I'm not going to do that. But if you guys say so, then whatever it is that you guys have with him, then that's fine. And then I went over to Anatomy and taught some group fitness classes for 8 months or so. And he's one of the nicest people I've ever met in my entire life. Always bent over backwards to help me when I needed it. We asked him to come on the podcast. It took 30 seconds for him to book a time.
That's Mark.
And once I got to Anatomy and started being around him, I'm like, what is wrong with these people? Like, why do they have?
It is also, people want to bash other people that are successful. Like,
100%.
I've been employing coaches for 15 years. Okay. And I could say that probably 90% of the coaches or staff that has worked for me, I can go have a beer with right now. I mean, I remember women who worked for my front desk would come to the holiday party after they left years later. I mean, we just had a good relationship. But there's a couple of coaches in there right now that, obviously think they can do a better job than I can. Fine, no problem. But it also shows a level of, like, I don't know, narrow-mindedness when they, can turn around and point the finger and they're never really sitting in my seat. Yeah. And really, really, really quick story. So I had a golf. I have a golf business. I had a golf business in my gym for 15 years. It was indoor simulators upstairs. We had a bar. We did corporate entertainment.
That's cool. That's badass.
Entertainment. Really awesome. We had to adjust the model because at one point when, I think in 07, 08, when Lehman Brothers closed and Bear Stearns closed and all that corporate spending went away, we had to change our model a bit. I had this golf pro. Oh my God, it was probably 10 years ago. And he turns around and we're like sucking wind at this time. And our AC blew and I got a $15,000 air conditioning bill. It's like August. I'm like, holy crap. Like, it's our slowest month. Like, we're taking out loans. Like the bills are piling up. And it was a challenging time. He sits down in my office and he goes, I disagree with how you're doing things.
Wow.
I'm like, interesting. I know, fine. No problem. My door's open. I'm glad you could sit here and talk to me. What's going on? He goes, all the golf pros should be in matching golf shirts. And I go, wow, man, really, really, that means really impressive. And you're absolutely right. They should be. But for me to put matching golf shirts with logos on for all the golf pros right now, it's going to run me probably $3,000-$4,000.
Yeah.
I'm trying to get the air conditioning on.
Yeah.
So it's real. And he was like, cause he wasn't, listen, he didn't have that business sense. And when I say he didn't have that business sense, I'm not saying he's a stupid person, but he couldn't turn around and sit in my seat So, for instance, with Mark Megna, sorry, when it was probably, someone at corporate in Equinox or one of the managers. And what probably happened was Mark's a good looking guy and he's got a great build and he went in and he's charismatic and people probably started getting drawn to him. And a couple of coaches probably got pissed and the training manager probably lost control over him. And then he finally got an investor to come in and go do his own thing. And guess what? He succeeded. Yep. Whether gyms do great or not, it's irrelevant. I don't know what the books are and they probably crush it and good for him. But you know what? He succeeded because he went off and he did it. And it pissed them off.
Yeah,
because they didn't have the chops to go do that on their own.
Right. And I mean, that's good, why they want good for him. He's about to launch they're about to open their 4th location, so you can't hate on the guy
during a tough time. So it's really easy to point the finger. But I think a big takeaway from today is try and envision, like sit in that person's chair, come sit in my seat. And envision the things that could be coming on.
Anytime you want me to sit in your seat, I'd be more than happy to, man. More than happy to.
No, but you know what? Sometimes things happen behind closed doors and it's very easy to go point the finger and just assume that someone is making a poor decision. They don't really know, and that's why I've really learned in my career to give people the benefit of the doubt. Yeah. If someone's a bad person and they're mistreating people, that's inexcusable. In my opinion, if I see someone mistreat my staff or something to that factor, that's something that's inexcusable. But I think when you turn around and you say, well, that was a dumb decision. I always told my coaches, guys, if you see something and you're confused about it, come in and ask me, because I'll give you, I'll give you a good answer. To why it is, and if they had the guts to come in and do that, I would tell them and I would give them a really straightforward answer.
And I think that's another thing too, like you brought up. I think you see a lot of times, even especially in our field, where sometimes it's hard for these coaches to actually come and ask women like, "Hey, I need help," or like, "What is that?" Or because they don't want to feel bad or look bad or they want to bother. Knowing that, like, what do you do with your coaches? How do you work with your coaches? Because it's obviously you're a leader. And especially during these times now, you're working virtually. What's that approach and what do you recommend for other leaders who are running their own teams to best approach their coaches to always make them feel welcomed and,
right. No,
hey,
and
you're open to talk to me?
It's an amazing question. It's an amazing question. I think leaders, owners, managers have to put themselves in the coach's position, because it's a scary time. I mean, I'm in a much different situation than my coaches. I have other sources of income. I've been doing this a lot longer than them, and I've worked that up. But a lot of these coaches, if they were just relying on training people, and then suddenly you take that away from them, like look at Equinox had to lay off how many trainers. I mean, I don't even know what percent is it.
You got a lot of friends.
A lot of people lost, and that's scary. Like that's really scary. So when I don't even know who this is. I'm so see. This is what's going on with. This is what's going on with training at home. My dogs are going nuts, and someone just knocks on the door. Put this on pause, guys. I apologize.
All right, no problem.
I'm on a podcast. Bring the door. Oh my God. Hilarious.
And we're back.
Sorry guys, my wife's ringing the doorbell and I'm on a podcast. This is what's called working from home right now with the dogs going nuts.
So good.
Guys, this is real life shit though. This would not be happening. This would not be happening.
These are those moments, man. These are those moments. So
to answer your question, I think a lot of these managers need to put themselves in the coach's position and understand that, this is a really difficult time for them. And I think they have to really try and relate to what they're going through, and that a lot of these coaches are scared, and that's normal. I would have been too if it was, 15 years ago and I was just coaching and that's all I had. This would have been a much different time for me than it is now.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I wish with, because I know PPP and a lot of these loans that businesses were able to take out. When I hear that, a gym had to fully lay off their staff, that was something that I wish could have been a little bit different. It was something I put a lot of effort into. The second we knew we had to close the gym doors, it immediately was a phone call with the staff, and you can talk to every single one of them. We employed 90% of them through the whole shutdown. Mm-hmm. We employed the trainers, through the shutdown. We actually continue to charge virtually, but the club cut the cost per session in half, and we actually incentivized the coach to make more. I kept on three managers. I kept on my cleaning guy full time and then paid him. You know, he worked for me for 15 years. I'm not saying that to do a pat on the back, but you know, I think as a gym owner, as someone who's trying to lead a team, I have to take my staff under my wing and say, guys, you know, you've dedicated so much to me. I got to turn around and I got to dedicate a lot to you. Yeah. And, you know, that was something that I wish a lot of facilities did differently. I don't necessarily know. I don't know if Equinox actually was able to keep on a lot of their coaches.
No, I think they furloughed a lot of people.
Yeah,
they furloughed a lot. Now, what did those coaches do though? I mean, did they not make any money?
I know one of my friends, he was the personal training manager here at the location of Brickell Heights. And I know he just decided like, all right, well, if you're going to do that to me, like I got to go figure something else out. And he just went out on his own.
Yeah. You know? And listen, again, I'm not sitting in the chair of the Equinox CEO. I'm not. I do know Equinox is owned by Related. I know Steve Ross is worth, probably $5-6 billion. Who knows how much?
Yeah, he's sitting pretty.
Dolphins.
Yeah, I mean, but again, we're not sitting in their situation. We don't right. fully understand. But I wish something a little bit better than having the majority of their staff. I haven't heard anyone say, "Oh no, they took care of us," or "No, they supplemented some income."
I mean, I don't think I've really ever, having worked for Equinox. And again, right, the great company. I wouldn't be where I am today. I'm sure he would say the same thing if it weren't for Equinox. But I don't think I've ever heard a person say that.
Yeah, I worked for them back in '99. I actually worked for the Ericos up on 76 in Amsterdam, 74. I think it was 76 in Amsterdam. I worked for them for 1 year. I saw it go from a 6-month mom and pop with like 7 or 8 locations being bought by a corporation. And it was a valuable lesson for me because I saw that whole transition. But I mean, listen, they gave me my first start and I'm very grateful for that. But I just, everyone's, these coaches work really hard. And, they're expecting a lot of these big box gyms are expecting these coaches to, commute in, especially in New York City. It's like most of these trainers in New York City aren't living on, 72nd and Park Ave. Like they're living in Queens, they're living in Brooklyn. They're, for them to get in for a 5:30 a.m. client, they have to be up at 4 a.m. at least, 3:30 in the morning at least, to take a train at that hour, to get up, to shower, to eat, to get themselves presentable, to show up. Training, people during the day and cleaning up weights and then giving themselves a little bit of a break before they have to go do that in the evening. I mean, it's a mentally grinding job. And, when you sit there and you're continually doing those hours over and over, it's really tough. I just hope and wish that, I really hope that I start hearing stories about individuals that actually were like, no, like this gym owner or this corporation took care of us because it should be that.
I mean, even in my one-on-one business with my clients, like right when the private training facility that I was training out of that's, is no longer open and I'm not there anymore, obviously, right when all that happened, I sat down and had a phone call with my clients. I was like, listen, guys, like, I'm still building out my online stuff. And, we were building out the podcast at that time. If you guys don't continue to train, like, I won't have a revenue for the next 3-6 months, however long it's going to be. Like I thought this was going to go at least into the fall. And having that open and honest conversation with them, I think honestly brought me a lot closer to them, and they doubled down on training. Instead of doing, 3 days a week, they went to 5. Yeah. If they were doing 2, they went to 4, because they were like, like you were saying, right? I've brought so much value into their lives, and on the flip side, they've brought, even in my opinion, more value than I brought to them with all of their expertise and all of their help. But they saw how much value I brought to them, and they said, we got to take care of this guy.
It's nice to hear.
I'll be forever grateful for them. Because of that.
It's really not. It's really nice to hear when you hear stories like that. I just want to hear more of them.
Yeah, I agree.
And it really shows people's character. It really shows the character and the type of person they are when you hear these kind of stories, and especially during moments like this where, it's like you want to be able to be that person as well, that that you were able to help and protect others during these times. Obviously, everybody, situation can be a little different. Like you said, we can't just jump the gun and judge people depending on their situation. But, at the same time, it is nice. It is nice to hear those stories and, see who is putting their foot down and really working hard to make sure that they're taking care of their staff, their team, their coaches, their people that have been with them and sacrificing for them as well. Because, you know, if it wasn't for them either, you know, those people running those businesses wouldn't have a business, you know, if it wasn't for those people helping them push through.
Yeah, I mean, yes, well said. But now you guys kind of allowed me to like raise an eyelid to the whole gym question. Like you start thinking about it too, and there's just so much optics going on, you know, with these businesses wanting to kind of show that they're doing the right thing, but at the end of the day, they're really only into it for, you know, their own betterment. So, you know, I mean, and again, like, I understand. I was a gym owner up until about a week ago after 15 years. I mean, I still technically own my business, but, you know, when these gyms started opening, everyone was so quick to be like, you know, we're back and we're doing all the necessary precautions. And I get that and I understand and I respect that. But, you know, I mean, I think some of the bigger box chains were kind of blowing their whistle a little too early before they really knew if it was safe or if it wasn't safe. You know, once I believe that once our governor said, you know, it's safe to start taking that transition, 100% did I have faith in him, 100%. Because looking at the numbers now and how he's approaching that, I think it's smart. I think, you know, again, if it was a couple of months earlier, who knows what could have happened? Maybe everything could have went, you know, awry. I think the mistake that they made though was they necessarily didn't know how to categorize what should open first. Like what's a boutique, what's a big box gym, what's a private studio.
Gotcha.
You know, like when you have my buddy who, you know, Jeff Hathaway, who ended up moving down to Florida, and his facility was, you know, 6,000 feet, and there was probably 4 or 5 people in there on any given day. He should be able to open when he, like there's just, that's his business model. Like you can't compare that to Barry's boot camp.
Yeah.
You can't. Like it doesn't make any sense. You can't compare that to Equinox. You know, and now, but now what's a little annoying is that you're seeing Equinox sending out like letters like, all right, well, you have to book your appointment to come in and you can only come in 3 days a week, but we want you to pay full membership. Like, how does that make any sense? It doesn't make any sense. Yeah. And then, you know, yet my friend Katya Price can't open her, she can't open her dance body studio. Why? But have her do it at 33% capacity. Have people spread out a little bit more. Like it doesn't make sense to me. Like you can go into another gym in Long Island right now and people are working out. Like it just doesn't. Like I think it's just kind of a mess. It's a little bit of a disaster. And I can understand how gym owners are getting really frustrated with it.
We had the same thing happen down here, kind of. But on the flip side, right? They opened everything back up in May.
Yeah.
And gyms were allowed. No, you know, you had to wear. I don't think you even had to wear a mask inside the gym. I don't really remember.
I think at the beginning you did. You were forced, and then they kind of like watered that thing down.
But then the cases started to spike again in like the end of June, July here, and they were like, "Well, we're going to shut everything down again." And everyone in the fitness community was like, "If you shut us down again, like we're going to fold. Every gym in Miami is going to fold."
Yeah.
And they were, you know, it took some serious conversation for them to be like, okay, maybe we do need to take a step back and we do need to reanalyze this, because to your point, they didn't have a plan. They had no plan. They're just okay, open things back up, and you know, if we need to close them down, we can.
And why are they going to fold? Why are they going to fold? And I completely understand. Like if they're continuing to pay rent, they're going to fold. It just doesn't make any sense. Can you please get the dogs to please be quiet? This is killing me right now, guys. I'm so sorry.
No, it's okay.
So you know, why are they going to fold? It's because, you know, rent is still, you know, being charged. I mean, my landlord, I mean, it was hilarious. I mean, when my landlord, who I'm paying $58,000 a month to with taxes, for me to leave my equipment there, he tried charging me $5,000 a month. I'm like, wait a second, I paid you 3 months at a time where no one's paying. And well, my lenders, like he gave me that bullshit. Well, how about $2,500? I'm like, this is ridiculous. Yeah. I'm not paying you anything. Like, and I didn't pay him a cent after that because I did more than I should have. But you know, if the landlords aren't getting any type of break, which I honestly can't figure out if they are or they aren't, like, are the lenders giving them a break? Is there any type of tax, you know, break that they're getting on all this? Like we never got a real honest answer. So in a time like this, you would say, yes, stop charging these gym owners rent, but then the landlords have to have some type of break also. Otherwise, they're going to go under, like sit in their chair a little bit. So it's like, I just feel like that it wasn't really yes, the government had to make this decision in a short period of time, but there was just certain things that weren't thought out. I mean, unless the landlords are just lying to all of us, which they probably are. They're all full of shit, right?
Yeah, right. It's kind of just, it kind of comes with the territory when you talk about
especially
landlords.
here in Miami.
Oh man, no, but down here they were paying.
Like fraud city.
Yeah, they had to pay. They had to keep paying their lease unless like you can negotiate with your landlord. Which, to your point, why would they negotiate if they know that they're going to get your money? You know, or you're going to go under and they're going to have to fill it, which they're probably going to have to do anyway.
None of it makes sense. I mean, none of the landlords make sense to me. I mean, even my landlord, I turn around, I says, you know what, I'll stay in there if you give me a rev split. Like, I don't know. Like, I can't imagine how many gyms or how many facilities went under. There should have been like a grace period where there was at least a rev split where like everyone's kind of protected and the landlords are making cash, but then they're turning around, landlords are like, well, our lenders aren't accepting that. I'm like, so the lender would rather take no money than something. Like if my gym's generating up $200,000, $300,000 a month, if you make 20% of that, that's still a dollar amount. You're talking to me about $2,500 to $5,000 for equipment storage, and you won't take 20% of my business. If you're that confident that it's going to be restored, which you keep telling me because you want me to re-sign that lease, then go with it. Well, our lenders. Well, then the lenders are wrong. Like it's just someone should be getting, because then guess what? Does the landlord get a tax break on the space now? If he's not renting it out, does he get some sort of a tax break? So what does that mean now? Our government, our country's losing money because the landlord's not paying that? Like, it just doesn't make sense. It's just, none of it seems like it's thought out at all. And it's obviously not, because the government didn't understand that every gym is not created equal. The gyms that they were allowing to kind of go back into it were the ones I'd probably worry the most about. Big box gyms to me, it's like a cesspool. Like those locker rooms are freaking petri dish.
Even the benches, the dumbbells. Like when I worked at Equinox, I would, even when I didn't work the floor and you know that very hideous blue shirt that they would make you wear. Like
we had purple shirts at the time.
Yeah, I had a couple of guys that worked with me that reminded me about the purple shirts. Yeah.
Oh my God, I'm old, man. Purple shirts. But I mean, yeah, but again, it's like none of this stuff. It's like,
let's grab a black light and it's just.
Yeah, I mean, really. And true, it's like people are so worried about COVID in the gym. It's like you don't worry about getting a staph infection when you go in that gym, but you're more likely to get a staph infection than you are COVID in that gym. You know,
the locker rooms are what really scares me. I mean, now you're going and standing in the shower. I mean, I know the showers are open now, but that's where, like, that's the one thing that I realized when I was opening my gym years ago. That
all the steam rooms down here in Miami, man, you should not go in those. I tell you what, I needed some therapy after I walked in one day.
It's a little tough.
You know,
it's a little tough.
So Donna, I gotta ask you, man, like, just seeing with everything that we've experienced, you being a gym owner, virtual, going through this amazing journey, and seeing with the whole COVID situation, if you ever do open up a gym or another location, and for all the gym owners out there, how would you say, or what would you say is your opinion on the best way of preparing yourself financially, mentally, and just in case something else similar to this ever happens again?
Well, I'm not doing it now. I mean, it's something where, like I said, I felt like I was the luckiest gym owner because I had the ability to hit the pause button, and not like if I had to jump back in there now, and even if I was paying 50% rent, what happens if 33% of my business comes back and I'm only paying 50% rent? Well, I'm going to be short, aren't I? And I'm going to put myself in a really tough situation because these landlords right now, especially the ones that aren't, as flush as you think they are, they're going to collect on every cent, and it's going to be a lot of stress. So right now, I know like a true entrepreneur is going to say, when times are tough is when you double down type of thing and that bullshit, but not. You got to
know when to cut your losses as well.
Yeah. You also got to turn around. I also think a true entrepreneur knows how to kind of take a step back and take a deep breath and not get too excited to jump into that next thing and just say, listen, I'm doing all right with what I'm doing. I'm going to assess the next couple of months. I believe that real estate prices are going to be driven down, like I do personally. And maybe after the new year,
100%.
God willing, I hope there's a vaccine.
Yeah,
I still think the city's far away from it.
Yeah, he's been, I know, you've been looking at getting a house. I tell him, like, just wait a year and a half, especially down here. Like, there's going to be more foreclosures than we can imagine.
A little bit. Yeah, hang out. There's just too much uncertainty right now. It's like, I think when our government doesn't even really know what's going on yet and they don't have answers, I think that's like who else? I mean, the most successful people I've surrounded myself with due to luck and just, I love these people, but they're all telling me the same thing. They're like, this is going to take longer to recover than most people think. And just, this is what, and it's sad about New York, because New York, I mean, I've been pro New York my entire life. I mean, I'm so proud to be from this state, the city. I'm so proud to have had a business in this city. I feel like it's different if you're from New York. There's this level of like toughness that you have to develop. Like,
Yeah.
New York tough. You always hear these
I'm from
lines.
Syracuse. I understand.
I love it. I love it. It's a
Yeah.
beautiful thing. But like, you know what? With everything going on with the crime right now in the city and the energy level, it's just a different place. And New York will restore. I believe it will. It's just going to take some time.
Yeah. And I think it's hard for Americans in general, but especially for, people who own businesses, type A people who are really driven, always looking to like, check that next box, to be able to tell yourself like, let's take that step back. Let's, really assess what's going on. It's difficult for people because especially when you're living in the city, right? It's like you're talking about the most, extrinsically driven place in all of America. There's nowhere like New York City. Yeah,
really
probably
is.
the world,
It really
right?
is. It really is.
Where
It really is.
you're not only competing with yourself, like you are literally competing against tens of millions of other people,
Right.
in order
Right.
to
gotta be
get
in
to
your
the
A
level.
game.
Yeah. Right. So to actually have to sit there and say, I need to take a step back and maybe just do the things I've been doing anyway. It's tough for people.
It's tough. I mean, like I said, most people aren't in that situation where they can do that. That's why I said I feel like I'm really fortunate to be able to do it. Now, will I be back in the city? Probably. I mean, but we'll see. Who knows what happens? What if this hits again in a few months? What if now, my business hasn't been in brick and mortar for a year and I'm just that much further along on digital? Is it worth going back in and doing that, or am I going to be, right? I mean, technically, right now, I don't have to go back in and do it. I would go back in and do it because I have a new plan. I have a new model that I wanted implemented with a new partner, and we're really excited about it. And it actually fits these times because there is a readiness component. There is a huge digital component. There's still a brick and mortar component, but it's smaller, more recovery. Everything's just tighter. Just the space is more conducive to what we be looking to do from a business model standpoint. When we got involved in this space back in 2005, maybe went a little bit too big, 15,000 square feet in New York City. It's a lot of space to get started off with in your first project. So there's just things now I would do a lot differently.
Yeah. Well, listen, man, we're almost at an hour. We don't want to take up too much of your time. We appreciate you coming on.
Truly appreciate you.
Awesome.
You definitely shared a ton of insight that, I think more people need to hear about, right? Kind of stepping a little bit inside of someone like your shoes, and to kind of see the other side and see that it's not, it's not all roses all the time, just because you have, 400,000+ followers on Instagram and, you have a successful gym and a successful brand, like you still struggle.
Yeah.
So,
And you're still engaging.
Yeah, still engaging.
Always. I mean, you got to, at the end of the day, the model's really simple. The reason why I became a successful coach early on was because my whole model was making sure they left feeling better than they did before they came in. And obviously there's that level of professionalism of never forgetting why you were hired to come in and do that job.
Right.
And that's why I've been able to kind of sustain that clientele for that period of time. But this stuff takes time.
Yeah.
This is not an overnight gig here. And
No, definitely not.
adding value to people's lives is something that if you're on digital or if you're in person, it's part of your model. Don't always sit there when someone's looking for followers on every good post they put up. I think that's almost like being like,
You're setting yourself
where's
up
the
to
money?
fail. Yeah.
Yeah. Where's the money? I just put up this incredible content that probably bettered a bunch of people's lives, but I'm not getting in return. So I'm down on it. I mean, it's just put the stuff up that you believe is what you want to be part of your pillars. That's one of your pillars. That's part of the added value that you're giving to people, and just keep your foot on the gas and keep doing it and keep doing it and keep doing it. It's going to take years.
Yeah.
You're not stressed and you're happy.
Yeah. So I know Menda's got a couple of rapid fire questions I want to ask, but before he does that, where can people find you?
Simple. You can go to donsaladino.com. I launch monthly challenges, and a lot of my programs are up there. You can also go to my Instagram at Don Saladino. I'm on Twitter. I'm on TikTok. I'm on Facebook.
Hey.
All that stuff.
Ooh.
Saladino. So it's all
Awesome.
Any new projects
yeah.
that you can share?
Yeah, so a couple. I started working with this company called Thrive Tape. It's an infrared kinesiology tape company, and we're actually expanding to China right now. So it's doing really well, and I've been really lucky to be a part of that. CBD
Congrats.
company called Hath. Thank you, Hath CBD company. I'm part of On Running. I've been working with On Running for 3 years.
Super cool brand.
That's not really new. It's a great company.
Love their shoes.
Yeah, it's great. There's a supplement company I might start working with soon
Hey.
again. Halo Sport. It's a
Mm.
company I became partners in. It's an electrolyte
We got
drink.
some in the
Yeah,
fridge
we
right
got
now.
some right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm a big part of that company, which is fantastic, and they've been absolutely unbelievable, and the product is
Yeah, we've
unbelievable.
done some
So
workouts with them
Yeah.
here in Miami. It's always great.
fantastic. So yeah, I mean that's that, and then obviously my barn I'm installing in the backyard. I'm super excited about. That'll be fun. Hopefully, maybe
Yeah, I
we'll
can't wait to see the content coming
Oh,
out of
yeah.
there,
be
man.
fun. If you guys
Oh,
are ever
yeah.
in New York, you'll come train with me out here.
Oh,
We'll
Definitely.
wait
man,
for him. We'll have
appreciate
some
Definitely.
fun.
that.
Yeah, it'd be
Definitely
awesome.
appreciate that. And also, too, whenever you have anything that you want us to share, we would be more than happy to share it with
Really
our fans
appreciate
or
that.
audience,
Thank
of
you
course.
guys. Yeah.
So I'm gonna light you up with some quick little questions, and we'll get through them pretty quick.
Let's do it.
Number one, one tool that you can only keep, one fitness tool. Which one would it be?
One fitness tool. It
Yeah.
doesn't mean it's the one I use the most. Probably the kettlebell.
Been getting that answer. Probably two. I'd probably pick the kettlebell.
It's just so versatile. I mean, I just think
Yeah.
you can really cover all 5 components of fitness with it: muscular strength, muscular endurance, cardiorespiratory endurance, body composition, mobility, all that stuff. I think you just really just kill so many birds with one stone. So yeah, kettlebell.
100%. Mace guy though over here.
Yeah.
I love
Master
the
of the mace.
Actually, you know what? The mace is right there. I mean, that's a
I always
also.
get torn. I'm like, do I pick the kettlebell? Do I pick the
hard.
mace? Like, which one?
I'm a lot better with the kettlebell. That's one of
Yeah.
the reasons. Also, like I've worked with the mace before. It's
It's a
like,
hard workout.
Yeah,
it'll
it's a
crush.
hard workout, but it's also like it forces your brain to.
Yeah,
really
you got to
roll a lot.
think. Yeah, or else you're gonna smash yourself.
He's the one
Yeah.
that taught me.
Yeah.
So
It's both great tools. Great
Yeah.
tools.
question number 2. What's the wildest and craziest experience you've ever had as a fitness coach?
The wildest and craziest experience I've ever had as a fitness coach. Oh man, I've had some cool travel with some clients. I wouldn't necessarily think that's crazy, but
Can be. Depends on who you're with.
Yeah, some wild trips, or some fun private jet trips, and going to specific concerts and flying into cities and leaving that night, or Stanley Cups and leaving that night, and just fun stuff that would take so much time for you to do, but you're literally turning that over in a little period of time. So those experiences were really fun, and it's something to this day I just never take it. I never take that for granted. But just rolling into some, concerts or games and stuff like that, like in and out, back in New York in like 30 minutes is
Crazy.
like
Wow.
that's fun.
Question number 3. What would you like to see moving forward in the health and fitness industry?
I think, God, this is a pretty easy question, actually. I'd like to see more regulations on.
Same here.
Yeah, right. So
Across the board.
Yeah,
Yeah, across-
Thank you.
across the board.
He's like, I already know what
Yeah.
you're saying.
No, let's just spend a minute on this right now. My problem is I think a fitness coach is whether it's a strength coach or trainer, I think it's almost undervalued. Like you have to go to med school to become a doctor. I understand why. Like that's heavy shit there. But when someone is coming in and working with a client 3, 4, 5 days a week, and you have the ability to really mess this person up, like you should not be taking a weekend ACE certification.
Agreed.
And become certified. If you are able to deliver content on Instagram, you better be careful. Like that's a weapon. Like what if I was a coach that had no idea what I was doing, and I was like, back squats is the greatest workout possible, and I read this article that was written 20 years ago by Bulgarians who said you should go to your max weight. You should go to your max weight. You should not warm up to be able to just adapt to that training stimulus.
Oh, you're triggering me.
No.
Done.
We can go off on this. So I wish, like, are you a coach? Are you someone that has credentials that you can put up there, or are you an influencer? And if you're influencing people to do like, well, this is what I do and this is what works for me, I honestly think it's criminal. I will use that word. It is criminal.
And
what
a lot
I see
of people,
being allowed.
a lot of people are thrown off by the perception of how those people look.
Yeah.
Yeah,
most of the
they've
time.
got great abs, or and listen, I get made fun. I mean, Mike Boyle makes fun of me all the time. He's always
Mike Boyle's a man.
Yeah, he's one of the
The OG.
the biggest one of the biggest influencers in my training career.
Yeah.
And
True influencers.
Same here. Same here.
100%. But Mike turns to me. Mike's like, Mike and I have breakfast a few times a year at the summits, and he's like, how many people do you think would come up to me and ask me fitness questions if they saw me shirtless on the beach? And I laugh, and you know what I say? I would ask you questions.
Yeah.
But that's the problem. If you take Mike and you put him up next to, you know, so-and-so who's got 5 million followers and looks like a freaking Adonis, like it's not even a comparison. Mike would out-coach, would be able to out-program any of those guys 10 times over, to the point where it would be an embarrassment. It would be an embarrassment. But, you know, optics, perception, our country is set up to be drawn to that. And I'm the last one to talk. Listen, I was on the cover of Muscle Fitness. I was on the cover of Men's Health.
You worked hard for that, though. You know, and you know what you're doing, though. You can back it up. You can back it up.
I also worked hard to educate myself and make sure that, you know, I can hang and have that conversation.
That's one of the most frustrating things for me. You know, I took the more formal route of, you know, I got my bachelor's in exercise science. I got my master's in exercise science.
It's impressive.
Interned for 6 years. I spent a shit ton of money on that, you know, a lot. And then, you know, probably like $15,000 to $30,000 every year on continuing ed. Like,
it's impressive.
Doesn't stop. But then when you see these people on Instagram with, you know, 8-packs and, you know, they're doing banded sprints up a Stairmaster, you're like, what are you doing for people?
Flips on a treadmill. Yeah, no. Right. I get it, but like I said earlier, like it sucks. Like you wish it wasn't that way, because it's not. At the end of the day, why does it suck? It doesn't say, well, are you not a success? It's not. That's not why it sucks. It sucks because it's just not good information. Like you want, like, nothing makes me feel better. Like when I go into a gym, like another gym, not mine, not my home gym, whatever, and I see a coach who's in there and they are doing it right. And I see the dialogue back and forth. I see the communication. I see the process going through. I see him laughing with the client. I smile. Like it actually makes me happy to see that going on, because I'm like, wow, man, that person is representing us really well. That's how I want to see coaches being represented, not with this other shit.
Yeah, big thing that I realized too is, like, you know, the posts that I get maybe like 120 likes on, but I get 14 DMs saying, man, you know, that all this stuff is really helping me out. I'm opening up more from your mobility work. It's like,
that's your model,
well, then,
man.
Right. Then fuck those 100 likes. Like, I don't care about that. I care way more about the fact that it's helping people than I do that it hit big on Instagram.
The most amount of likes I normally get on posts, besides family stuff that I put up, obviously because my kids and wife are way cooler than I am, but you know, if I do something shirtless, like, people like that post more. Like, it's just, and I really appreciate it, and I'm grateful for that. The post that I get the least amount of engagement in is the one I actually wish people would pay the most attention to, and that's my podcast with Derek Hanson, because Derek is a brilliant running mechanics coach. We go in, we bring on some really cool guests. You guys are on a great podcast, by the way. Like, this is a fun, interesting conversation. And I will promote this for you, and I'm hoping people watch, because this is information that anyone can learn from.
Yeah, I agree.
Appreciate that.
Yeah, thank you so much, man. Appreciate that. It means a lot.
I'm gonna ask you the one and last final question for you.
All good, man.
What's the biggest piece of advice in one sentence that you can leave off to all our listeners today?
Who are they coaches? Are the listeners coaches? Or are they just, you know, I think it's the same piece of advice.
I would say, yeah. Keep pretty general.
I think, what do we talk about today? And to sum everything up,
everything.
It's patience. It really
Patience
is.
huge.
It's just patience. It's just, you've got to be patient. Like, it's the biggest tragedy, I think, in business is when someone has a business plan and it's working at one point and they have to veer off and they don't make that turn, and they're just stubborn and they're like, no, but this worked 10 years ago. Yeah, it's not working now. But there's also a huge tragedy out of someone who's actually doing a lot of the right stuff and they just jump ship too early. They pull the cord too early. And sometimes I'll see coaches doing a lot of the right stuff, and I'm just like, listen, man, you just got to keep your foot on the gas right now. Like, this is really, like, I have some friends of mine, some young coaches that'll reach out to me, and I'm like, you're putting up good content. Like, this fits into your pillars. This fits into your message. This fits in what you're trying to do. You're being really true to yourself. You're not turning around trying to be someone else. You know, like, one of the things that drives me nuts is, like, everyone now. Like, so I put up a post today. It was a fun little arm pump. It was like, some of the stuff I put up is like serious. Some of the stuff I put up is fun. But everyone's like, why are you so serious when you're doing curls? I'm like, because I'm doing curls. I'm not in the mirror. Bicep curls. And what cracks me up is I even see it with, like, a lot of people now who are, like, putting up, like, I don't mean to knock this, but a lot of the guys and women who are putting up, like, cooking stuff, and they're all like,
oh,
dude,
yeah.
we were talking
about we talk about this all the time.
What is going on with this world?
We talk about, I'm like, nothing irks me more than when, like, I see a fitness girl and she's like, with like one knee bent, one knee locked, so you see the ass more, and then like one knee bent. Yeah, and she's like,
and they're trying to play.
I'm like, how can you be happy when you're doing burpees? Like, no, that's not a happy exercise. Like, look miserable. We're all miserable.
I don't think it comes off genuine. I think
No,
for the people I know that
all.
are like that and they have that, I can see the people who are trying to do it too much,
Yeah.
and they're trying to like be cute and be like bubbly. Like I could see when it's like I've had coaches who worked for me who are trying to do that now, and I kind of roll my eyes to it. I'm like, come on, it's not who you are.
Yeah.
It's so obvious.
People always tell me, they're like, oh, you know, you need to smile more when you're on camera. I'm like, if you see me in person, like I don't smile. Like that's not my thing. Like I would look so, like to your point, like I would look so fake if I was just like, okay guys, so today I'm going to bring you through this 3 exercise complex. Like, are you guys ready? Are you ready?
I'm not squatting. I'm not doing like triples with like a smile on my face. Like, no, my head looks like it's going to explode. Like
for the next post, you literally just have like a fat emoji smiling face just slide over your head. Let that be part of your body.
That's actually a really good idea. I might have to do that. I might have to do it for
that would be funny.
Yeah.
that frustrates me a bit too, is that people can't have their own identity with this stuff. Like it's like, if you are a certain personality and you are a certain person, be true to that. Like you might be surprised. Like I think faking it and trying to be someone else who's successful, I don't think it's going to pay the dividends that you're hoping it would. I think being true to yourself and playing to those strengths of who you are and being genuine, I just feel like 10 out of 10 times, I think it always pays off a lot better than trying to kind of become someone else who has a successful page. There's one woman, she's got a really cute page. I think her name's Ravana. She does all this like raw cooking, and she's like a cute, Latin American woman, and she's got a really nice way about herself, and she's smiling in the camera, and it comes off almost very natural. Sure. But then I started seeing all these other women trying to copy her. And I'm saying to myself, it's not who you are. It looks so fake. That's the stuff that kind of bums me out a little bit. I wish people would just take a little bit more risk and go in and really show who it is that they are. Me smiling during a bicep curl, it's not what I'm going to do. Like I'll smile on camera when like this, when I'm talking, I'll throw my smile out there, but I'm doing carries overhead with a 48 kilo. I'm not sitting there like, come on, man. Like I'm trying to brace. Man. Like this is hard work here.
Yeah. Don't worry, dude. When we go to your house and we work out with you, we're gonna make sure we're smiling the whole time.
We will do a video.
Shit and grin, ear to ear.
We're gonna do some type of like a new strength world video where like we're gonna change the game.
Yeah, I'm down.
Right?
So down.
I'm in.
All right, man. Well, we appreciate it. Thank you so much,
guys. Thanks for having me on. That was a lot of fun, and you guys are doing great, man. Keep it. Like I said, nothing makes me happier than seeing people who are actually representing the market in the right way, and you guys are obviously doing that. So keep it up, man.
Appreciate it. Until next time, guys.